Imagine this. You're holding your first real savings, $10,000. Not a windfall, not a lottery ticket, not an inheritance. Just hard-earned, scraped together, prayed over savings. To most people, $10,000 doesn't sound like much. It won't buy you a house, it won't pay off all your debt, and it certainly won't get you sipping piña coladas on a beach in Bali for the rest of your life. But let me tell you, spiritually, mentally, and strategically, hitting that first $10,000 is like stepping onto solid ground for the first time after years of swimming in deep water. And here's the surprising truth. Most folks think the first big step toward wealth is hitting six figures. Nope, six figures is exciting, but the transformation starts earlier, right at that first $10,000. That's the line in the sand where you move from surviving to stewarding. Think of it this way. If money were a toddler, your first dollar is the birth certificate. Your first $10,000, that's when the kid learns to walk. Suddenly you're not just reacting to every bump in the road, you're intentional, you're prepared, you're free to make choices instead of constantly apologizing to bills, creditors, or your future self. And spiritually, this matters even more. Jesus said in Luke 16 verse 10, "He who is faithful in little will be faithful in much." Your first $10,000 is that little. It's your chance to prove, not to your neighbor, not even to your bank, but before God Himself, that you can be trusted with more. The power of small beginnings. Here's a funny thing. We live in a world where everyone posts their highlight reel online, luxury vacations, dream cars, passive income screenshots. And if we're honest, it makes us feel like our small steps don't matter. $10,000, that's nothing compared to the guy driving a Tesla with his crypto gains. But scripture says otherwise in the book of Zechariah 4 verse 10, "Do not despise small beginnings." Your $10,000 isn't just a number. It's proof that you've built discipline, patience, and vision. And here's the kicker. It's not the money itself that matters most. It's the person you became while saving it. Think about it. You don't stumble into $10,000 by accident. It's the result of saying no to things you wanted in the moment. DoorDash, overpriced sneakers, just one more streaming subscription. So you could say yes to bigger things later. It's cooking at home when you wanted takeout. It's driving the trusty used car when you could have financed a new one with heated seats. It's telling yourself, short-term me wants comfort, future me deserves freedom. That's not just money management, that's character development. From reaction to intention. Have you ever been in that place where payday hits, and within 48 hours you're wondering, wait, where did it all go? Bills, gas, groceries, the random Amazon package you didn't really need, it vanishes. And when a surprise expense shows up, forget it. One blown tire and you're living off ramen noodles. That's survival mode. But with $10,000 in the bank, something shifts. Suddenly you're not panicking when the car breaks down. You're calmly scheduling the repair. You're not grabbing the first job offer because you're desperate. You're considering whether it aligns with your long-term purpose. Freedom looks like this. No longer asking, can I afford this? But instead, does this align with my purpose? That's kingdom thinking. That's the moment when money stops being your master and starts being your servant. Emergencies and opportunities. Here's a story. A friend of mine once joked that her bank account had two moods, barely surviving, and God, please don't let anything happen this week. One day her car engine blew, no savings, credit maxed out, she was stuck. Compare that to someone who has $10,000 saved. Same problem, car breaks down, but instead of meltdown mode, it's annoying, yes, life-ruining. No, that's the power of a financial buffer. It doesn't just protect your wallet, it protects your peace. Proverbs 6 praises the ant for storing in summer to prepare for winter. Your $10,000 is your ant savings. It shields you from panic and positions you for opportunity. Because here's the flip side. Emergencies aren't the only surprises in life. Opportunities show up too. Maybe a business idea, an investment deal, or a chance to bless someone in need. Most people have to pass because they aren't ready. But if you've saved, you can say yes to the doors God opens. That's when life shifts from I wish I could to I'm so glad I did. The foundation for multiplication. Now let's talk multiplication. Jesus told the parable of the talents, where one servant buried what he had out of fear, while the others doubled theirs through wise action. Your first $10,000 is your proving ground. Will you bury it in fear, or will you steward it, grow it, and use it for greater impact? This isn't about gambling on the next shiny trend. It's about planting seeds wisely, whether that's in investments you understand, skills that increase your earning potential, or opportunities that align with your values. Even small growth, say 7 to 8% a year, proves that your money can work for you instead of the other way around. The quiet truth. Here's the quiet truth. Few people tell you the $10K itself isn't the point. The discipline you built to get there, that's the treasure. Because once you've learned to consistently save, invest, and live with intention, every milestone after, $50,000, $100,000, $1 million, stops being a fantasy and becomes an inevitable outcome. And let's be real, you'll laugh at how hard $10,000 once felt when you look back. But you'll never forget the version of you who chose discipline over indulgence, vision over impulse, and faith over fear. That's the person God can trust with more. So let me leave you with a question. When you look at the money in your hands right now, whether it's $100 or $10,000, do you see it as just yours, or as a resource God's entrusted you with, to steward for something bigger? Because that mindset shift, that heart posture, is what turns $10,000 into the foundation of a financial life that's not just successful, but significant. Let's talk about something most people overlook: reinvesting your returns. It sounds boring at first glance, right? Like financial broccoli. But reinvesting is where the real magic happens. Think of it like this. Imagine a farmer who eats every single ear of corn from his harvest. Sure, he's full for a season, but come next planting season, he's got nothing to sow. Contrast that with the farmer who saves some of his crop as seed. He plants again, and suddenly one harvest becomes two become four, and pretty soon he's not just feeding himself, he's feeding the whole village. That's the power of reinvesting. It's not glamorous in the moment. You don't get the instant gratification of spending your returns on a new gadget or a weekend getaway, but it's the habit of planting again that makes your money multiply. And let's be real, don't we all want multiplication instead of addition? Spiritually, this principle takes on an even deeper meaning. Paul wrote in 2 Corinthians 9 verse 11, "You will be enriched in every way so that you can be generous on every occasion." Did you catch that? God doesn't enrich you just so you can indulge. He enriches you so you can be a blessing. The bigger your harvest, the bigger your generosity can be, without jeopardizing your stability. That's what I like to call kingdom economics, breaking the cycle of paycheck to paycheck living. Now let's be honest, for most people, the greatest struggle isn't really low income. It's the cycle, the hamster wheel, of running out before the month runs out. It's that suffocating pattern of waiting for Friday, like it's salvation, only to see your bank balance evaporate faster than ice cream on a hot sidewalk. Can you relate? Ever felt that stomach-dropping moment when you swipe your debit card and silently pray, "Lord, please let it go through"? That's not freedom, that's financial slavery. But here's the breakthrough. When you hit your first $10,000 saved, you've broken that pattern. You're no longer drowning in survival mode. Instead of asking, "How do I make it to the weekend?" you start asking, "How do I grow what I already have?" That psychological shift is massive. It opens doors to planning, to opportunities, to choices you didn't have before. Proverbs 13 verse 11 says, "Whoever gathers money little by little makes it grow." That's you now. You've gathered little by little, and suddenly you've built a foundation. And with that foundation, the desperate decisions stop. No more payday loans, no more credit card roulette, no more late fees eating away at your hard work. Instead, you're paying bills early, catching discounts, and watching those small wins snowball into bigger victories. And here's the best part. Breaking this cycle doesn't just change your wallet, it changes you. Relationships improve when money stress eases. Health improves because you're not losing sleep over bills. Even your relationship with God, deepens because the static of constant financial worry starts to fade. And when the noise quiets down, his voice becomes clearer. Long-term vision and the next step. But let's pause here. Breaking the cycle is a breakthrough. Yes, but it's not the finish line. $10,000 is not your destination. It's your launch pad. Proverbs 29 verse 18 says, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." The same is true of your finances. Without a vision, your $10,000 will eventually slip away into just one little expense after another. Target runs, streaming subscriptions, random Amazon boxes, you know how it goes. So here's the question, what's your next milestone? Will it be $50,000, $100,000, debt freedom, seed capital for a business? Maybe it's financial independence so you can say yes to kingdom assignments without asking, but how will I pay for it? This is where you need a roadmap, written down, prayed over and guided by God's wisdom. Because what got you to $10,000 won't necessarily get you to $100,000. You'll need new strategies like diversification, strategic risk-taking, and continued reinvestment. And yes, you'll need protection, because nothing steals momentum faster than lifestyle inflation. You know what I mean. That little voice that says, "I've got savings now. Maybe I deserve that car upgrade. Maybe I deserve the nicer apartment. Maybe I should celebrate with a vacation." But vision says, "Not yet. I'm building something bigger." And at this stage, mentorship becomes vital. Surround yourself with people further ahead, financially and spiritually. Their wisdom can save you from mistakes that could set you back years, turning $10,000 into kingdom impact. Now let's talk about the most exciting part, impact. Because at the end of the day, wealth isn't about how much you can keep. It's about how much good you can do. Acts 20 verse 35 reminds us, "It is more blessed to give than to receive." Once you've stabilized, you can set aside what I call a kingdom fund, a portion of your returns specifically for generosity. Imagine this: part of your $10,000 is multiplying your wealth, and part of it is multiplying hope in the lives of others. That could mean supporting missionaries, funding a ministry project, or helping someone in your community launch a small business that changes their life. It doesn't always take massive amounts. Even a small seed can produce eternal returns. Remember the widow's 2 coins in Mark chapter 12. In God's eyes, that was more valuable than all the flashy gifts combined. Over time, your investments can start funding scholarships, planting churches, or sustaining ministries long after you're gone. That's when wealth stops being temporary and starts becoming a legacy. So let me ask you this. When you look at your $10,000 or whatever you're working toward, do you see just a number, or do you see a seed? A seed that can multiply into freedom, opportunity, and impact far beyond what you can imagine. Because if God can trust you with $10,000, He can trust you with so much more. The question isn't, will you make more? The real question is, what kind of impact will you make with what He's already given you?